if you're using finance as a measure for success. So you never actually get there.
There's so many people out there that have money that are miserable. The other side of the coin, there's so many people out there that don't have money, and they're the happiest, most joyful, loving life people you could ever meet.
The biggest benefit from money is the freedom of time.
What do you feel is the biggest myth when it comes to financial success and what it means to get there? Welcome to Freedom Renegades podcast. Today we are going to be discussing why the life that everyone is trying to build is actually the one thing that's making them miserable and what it actually takes to reach financial freedom.
So who better to be joined with today than the amazing Scotty North, who's a multi-million-dollar developer and also a podcast host in his own right, the Scotty North podcast, and the incredible Brent Williams, who has been inspiring people all around the world for the past 25 years, guys. So let's welcome Scotty North and Brent Williams.
I know that we were having a brief chat about this the other day on site, Scotty, when you came down to visit our latest project. And there are many, many different ways that people define success in their own life. But I think there is generally a little bit of a warped perception out there in society about what success actually is, and particularly financial success.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So from your experience, what do you feel is the biggest myth when it comes to financial success and what it means to get there? And
Okay.
there's
Oh,
two
do
questions.
you
That's
ever
very
get there?
loaded.
Right. Okay. So the biggest myth would be that finances are success. And do you ever get there? Well, no, you don't if you're using finance as a measure for success. So you never actually get there. Probably what I'd like to say is that the issue around success is not so much what it is, but who it is. And that who is who defines it. And what we do normally as just carrying on with our day-to-day lives is we let other people define what success is for our own lives rather than ourselves defining success in our own lives. And that's the biggest mistake I think people make.
You mentioned that there was somebody that you'd been speaking to who had made a comment to you that, Scotty, you've done so well, you've created so much wealth and success, and yet you're still the same person. What was your reaction to that
Yeah.
comment?
Well, okay, let's put some caveats on that because, someone doing well in some person's eyes is not even making another person's eyes, right? And because they, again, using that financial measuring stick of success. So, and that's what this gentleman was using when he's talking to me. And he'd known me for a long time. And his comments were exactly that even though I had become successful, right, in his eyes, that I was the only person he knew that had done that and hadn't changed. And it caught me off guard because I know this guy pretty well and we become good mates over 20 years. And I didn't really know why he was saying that. I couldn't figure that out. Anyway, so I sort of mulled on it for a couple of weeks until I saw him again. And I said, well, I worked it out. I worked out what the secret of that comment was. And it was that I'd already thought of myself as successful because I used a different measuring stick than what he was using. So when I first met this dude, we had nothing financially and all that. But I would have been married. We would have had one child, another one on the way. And my measuring stick for success was what I'd looked at for my own life was around that. And so I had one type of attitude in that time. And it just so happens that's the same type of attitude. But now when he comes over to, service a couple of our cars or we have an acreage property now or something like that, something that he would deem as successful because he's using money as a measuring stick. Whereas I haven't changed because I didn't use money as a measuring stick. I used the other parameters that I wanted to use because I wanted to design my own success.
I think on that, so many of us can actually experience being successful if we just simply do that, which is change the measure of success. Like the whole financial success is, again, from someone who has created their own financial success. I had this conversation earlier. If I was to use that, continually use that as my measure of success, I would never have felt successful, ever. I don't think if I went on to make $10 million a year for the next 10 years, my level of success would never have been attained because if I'm making $10 million a year, someone else is out there making 20.
Of course they are.
If you make 20, someone else is making 100. So that measure of success of like, once I get to that number, I'll then be successful. Because if you tie happiness to that, if you tie joy to that, if you tie being a good human being,
right.
fulfillment, all the things to that one financial goal, then you're never going to experience that. So therefore, you're never going to be successful.
And that means if you ever don't have it in the future, psychologically, you equate that to being unhappy
And being unsuccessful.
and being
Yeah.
unsuccessful.
Yeah. And the other caveat I'd say on that, and I mentioned that the other day on site, was that it's very easy to say that money's not important when you've got it.
Yeah.
But when you don't have it, it's the only important thing, right? It's everything. And I think that gets, the problem is the message is kind of bipolar, right? It's that success isn't money and money's not important. But for the people that don't have money, it's the
Correct.
only thing that
Yeah.
matters at that point. If you have nothing and you don't have any way of feeding your child, and the only way to do it is either hand out or you need to find some money and go and pay for a meal,
Yeah.
then that is your sole focus in life right now,
Yeah.
is to that next meal. And so by saying that money's not important, waters down that person's situation in their life at that point in
Yeah.
time. And that's really sad, because then they think they're a failure because they don't have money. Do you know what I mean? So
100%.
because so it comes back around is that they're kind of measuring success again
Yeah.
based on money, even though it's this round and round a circle sort of thing.
Well, it's
Do you-
like when, sorry, I was going to inject there, babe. It's when people say money doesn't buy happiness.
Yeah.
Well, how are you spending the money? And
Yeah.
and you're right, it's not going to buy you the happiness, because you can be happy without money. And I say this all the time to people, that there's so many people out there that have money that are miserable. Yet the other side of the coin, there's so many people out there that don't have money,
Yeah.
and they're the happiest, most joyful, loving life people you could ever meet.
I think society is chasing a version of success that they
We've been
never
sold.
consciously chose in a way for themselves, if that makes sense. So they're chasing a version of success that's been inflicted upon us
Mm.
in society, that it wasn't a conscious choice. It was something that we felt that we needed to chase.
Yeah, it was a societal norm,
Mm.
right? I mean, this is the thing. So what was a norm 50 years ago is not necessarily a norm now. And, what is a norm now? What, that you live your whole life posting on socials? Oh, I've just gone to the toilet. Oh, look, I've bought a packet of potatoes. Like, who gives a crap?
Yeah.
Like, what does that matter? Because now there's kind of like a social unwritten rule that this is how you live your life now.
Mm.
And it's the same thing comes with the success topic, is that the unwritten rule is you must earn a certain amount, or you must drive a certain thing, or you must send your kids to a certain school, or whatever it is,
Yeah.
right? There's going to be something there that has the moniker of success attached to it that you've let come into your way of thinking.
Yes. I think it's a massive balancing act as well too, even when you do get to a point where you feel that you've reached a personal level of financial success for yourself. It's a balancing act to make sure that you keep the important things important. And I know, Brent, we discussed this earlier, and we had a previous podcast with Tyler Tolman, and he was diving deep into the fact that he could be a whole lot more financially well off if he did things differently, but he refuses to sacrifice the important things in his life, such as family, joy, downtime, health, and all of the things. What I'm going to move over in a sec to Brent, but I'd be really keen to get your take on that, Scotty, because I feel like even without being here in that conversation, I felt like you were here because I know your thoughts.
Oh, look, I'm obviously everywhere.
It pops up around.
Was in the walls.
I don't know. So I think that there's a couple of things you touched on there. One of the things I want to grab is that there's a cost. There's a cost associated to whatever you do. And we talk about that is like, say in business, there's a cost of opportunity. Do you do it? Do you not do it? There's an opportunity cost there, right?
Yeah.
But there's also a cost of however you determine success, right? And so if your determination of success is you want just, let's use some traditional, I don't know how your audience is based on this, but let's say that there was a a couple and they're like, I really want to be home in the younger years for my kids. So we want one work, one don't. I'm not saying who needs to do that, whatever. I don't really care.
Yep.
But that's how you want to design your life. Well, then the cost of that is that second income.
Yeah.
Right? But the trade-off is that you've now ticked a success box because you've wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And so the problem is you can't do that and then say, I want to upgrade my car every 24 months or whatever, right?
Yeah.
There's a cost to that decision. And the same thing comes with there's an actual cost of money. And that cost of money, and we talk a lot about in our courses about this, is that the saying is that time is money, but it's actually not. Money is time.
Mm.
And money is a direct relationship to your time.
Yep.
And when you start down that path, it's usually that money is the master and you're the slave.
Yeah.
You need to very quickly move out of that to being a partnership with money.
Yep.
So that you have a
Powerful.
partnership, and then you actually move on to where you're the master and money is the slave.
Yep.
And that doesn't take a lot of money, but it can be a good determiner of how you success, because in that example of the one parent staying home, that is you being a master over the money. Do you know what I mean? And you've determined your own success in that.
What are your thoughts on that, Brent? What are your thoughts around what we've been fed to believe that is financial freedom? And do you think it's a conscious choice for people, or do you think that they're chasing something that's been fed as a narrative to us?
Oh, I think for most people, they're certainly chasing a perception of what they think the money's going to give them.
Mm.
Status, significance, love.
Yep.
But I just want to expand on something you mentioned, is that for me, the biggest benefit from money is the freedom of time.
Yeah.
And time really is the most valuable commodity.
Absolutely.
It's the thing we can't stretch or grow. Once it's gone, it's gone.
Yep.
And
Can't go back.
ultimately, when we look back on our lives, and it's funny how, I mean, thinking this year, I want to do a new presentation literally on time, and how I'm sure everyone here can relate to how our perception of time has changed as we've gotten older.
Oh yeah.
And how, as particularly when you become parents, days are long, years are short, and how we use our time is probably the biggest decision we make. And we're looking for money to give us the flexibility and freedom of time. I know for me, when I was 18, my desire to build wealth was not to have the Ferraris or the big houses.
Yeah.
It was to leverage my time to just do things I wanted to do when I wanted them.
Yeah.
But then within that framework, you have to have clear passions, purpose, and drive.
Yeah.
And that's the probably key piece to the puzzle that a lot of people are missing when they're seeking purpose or
Absolutely.
intention.
And I think also it's funny because even to say buy back your time, you also in turn have to give up some of that time to create the freedom to get your time back. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I know for us, like if you work 10 hours a day in your job and you earn a certain amount of money, but then you go and overspend that money each week, well then the next week you're working overtime just to make up what you've already spent.
Yeah.
And so many people you hit the nail on the head, Scotty, about the keeping up with the Joneses, as we say. People that complain about how hard they work, but yet how much little money they have or little time they have, yet they've got the latest iPhones. They're updating their car every 2 or 3 years that you lose $10,000, $20,000 off that car as soon as you drive out of the car lot. But then 2 years later, you go back there and do the same thing. And then they feel, well, I've already working 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. This is how much money I'm earning. I can't possibly work any harder. So therefore, I'm not going to earn any more money. Therefore, I've got no time.
Yeah.
Like it all sort of ebbs and flows.
I think for us, property's our vehicle, your vehicle's property. And I know, Brent, you do an amazing job empowering the lives of younger people. So we're certainly passionate about what we do. And me particularly, yes, I'm a property addict. I love it. And Brent, I know that you froth on being able to light up young lives and change them. Scotty, are you passionate about what you do? Does it get you out of bed in the morning?
Not property per se. It's funny because I actually started out reading, and this is going to be a betrayer of age, in my latter teenage years, all of the Paul Clitheroe books on money and shares and what have you. And that was sort of the track I was going down. And without getting into a life story, I ended up in the property space through a simple decision. Was that I used to negotiate high-end contracts at my last job, like as in global corporate sort of stuff. And I said, oh, well, I'll just go and do that. Where do people spend the most money? I'll spend it on a car or a house. Oh, will they spend more on a house? I'll go and help them buy houses and screw down contracts, right?
Yep.
So that was that. And so that was my entry. It wasn't because I loved property. I wanted to see people get a better deal. And then over time, my love of property as a vehicle has evolved.
Yeah.
Right. I still don't think it's the only answer, but I think it's the one that I'm very skilled at working with now.
Yep.
But one of the things that I say to someone when they come to us and they say, I want to buy an investment property, for example, and you kind of get to hear in their voices, you talk to a few people and you go, oh, yeah. And I'd say, okay, so you want to be a landlord. It's like, oh, what do you mean? Oh, so you want late rent payments and you want holes in the wall and you want the dog eating the security screen and
Do you want the worst job in the world?
yeah. So, oh no, I don't. Well, no, doesn't the agent do that? Yeah, well, the agent does that with your money and your time, and he'd call you up, and and then so the point of that conversation is you're trying to figure out what they actually want.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't. So, what if I could get you a return on this, but without those headaches? Oh, well, I'd take that. Okay, so you don't want to be a landlord. You're actually chasing the return.
Yep.
What is the return you're chasing? Why are you chasing that? Oh, because I want money. Well, why do you want money? And then that comes the question, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I want to put my kid through school, or I want to retire with something in the bank, or I want to go on holidays, or one of us wants to stop work and replace an income. Okay, so now we get into the crux.
Not the money. It's
What's
what
the
it
real
is.
purpose or
Yeah.
intention of this? As
That's
we
right,
ask
yeah.
questions, dig deeper,
Exactly.
and find the
Exactly.
what is the
You
real
don't
why?
want an investment property. You don't want to do a flip. You don't want to do this. You want the outcome from it.
Yeah.
Right. And what is the outcome? The outcome's individual to you. And that again circles back round to why your definition of success has to be personal and designed by you, because your outcome is specific to your goals.
1,000%.
There's some good answers here. I tell you what.
I know. I'm going to ask you both this. What's your definition of success, Scotty? I'll ask you next, Brent.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, no.
Great.
Brent.
Time to think about my definition of success. Yeah, okay. Well, I left my last job. I don't want to answer too long. I don't know we've got time, but I left my last job because the next position in that firm, it was a decent sized firm, was the owner's position. I didn't want to own the firm. And so I said, I'm going to go and do this. I've never done this before. And my wife was pregnant with my first son. And so I went, oh, well, I just want to work from home, original WFHR, and have my children crawl around me while I'm at the desk, right? And that was the definition of success. And so we did that, and we were renting at the time. We rented for most of our married life up until 8 years ago. And then we started the business from a garage. And you've been to my current studio, and what could you say where it's located? You're still in a garage, right? It's a much bigger garage and what have you, but I still it's the same thing. Because why?
You're
Because
playing this down, by the way. The studio is amazing.
I can walk out of my house and go straight over to the studio, right? And so you're beginning to see a picture of what success is for me. And I used to get up and do seminars. And one of the things I put up there is mode paddock. When we talk about success and this mode paddock, and everyone will be scratching their heads going, what the hell's a mode?
Land subdivision.
Yeah, and that's right. Like, what is this? And I'm going, that is success to me. Is that success to you? And they say, no. What are you talking about? And say, well, we got a few acres, not heaps of acres. We've got a few. And I tell you, it's really nice when it's mowed, right? Who wants to mow on weekends? Well, no, hardly anyone wants to put their hand up, right? So I like the mowed paddock and want the space. The point was, I'd then say, well, would you prefer if I put a picture of a yacht up or gold bullion or a holiday in the Maldives or something? And so someone might say yes, but it's not everyone's going to say that. And so why would I put up pictures of what I think you want as success?
Yeah.
I might as well show you my success, because that's where you should be inserting your success.
1,000%.
Oh,
And
wow.
I wish more people did that. So we had this conversation a little bit earlier about how you might go to some seminars or some retreats and you hear some certain speakers get up and speak, and you don't connect or believe what they're saying because they're not authentic.
Yeah.
They're trying to tell you the same spiel, sell you the same product that other speakers are doing, and it's not their product, it's not their thing. It's like, as you said, the picture of success is the holidays whenever I want, or the yacht, or the cars. And I say to most people, like, what's your level of freedom? Like, even financial freedom. Like, what number do you think you need to be financially free? Most people, without even thinking about it, say $10 million.
Yeah.
Because they think $1 million is a lot of money. 10 million is set me up for life. They're on $65,000 a year.
Yeah.
But they think they need $10 million to live out the rest of their life.
Yeah.
If they did a couple of small changes and tweaked a few spending costs, a few spending things throughout the week, most people could actually semi-retire a lot earlier than they think they can.
Yeah, that's right.
If they just choose to do things a little bit differently. Don't go and buy the new phone every single year. We joke about this, but we used to still drive our same cars for 10 years after having a $20 million portfolio, because for us, again, that level of success wasn't just to drive around in a nice car so other people thought we were successful. We'd rather be putting that money in, reinvesting that money into buying our time. We can go to Melbourne for 2 or 3 months at a time to spend time with family. We can take our family away. We can have other properties where family can go and visit and all get together. That's our sort of level of success for us. So when I ask other people, like, what's your level of success? And they say it's either 10 million to be financially free, or it's, I want the boat, I want the house and the water. So you want a boat that's going to cost you X amount of dollars a year to keep. You're never going to use it. You're probably going to use it once or twice a year. Guess what? When you use it, so does everyone else. But guess what? They get off and go home. You're stuck with the bill to clean it. You're stuck with the maintenance of it.
You got to put the fuel in it. No one else does.
I'm really waiting to hear Brent's.
I am too. What's your definition of success, Brent?
Well, so obviously I've had the time to think, so I've got a lot to say. But let me just start off by saying, I think one of the big challenges for a lot of people is the gap between perception and reality. What they perceive to be success, and you dialed into that with the questions you asked to really go, is what is it? Why is it you want that? Why you were chunking up there? Why is you want? What's your highest purpose? And if that's that, does this need to be the vehicle for that?
Yeah.
And this comes back to questions. I often give a scripted answer to this question on stage from that tape that I'd mentioned earlier.
Yep.
And that is success is the success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, which in simplest terms is making a decision for your life and future, fueling that decision with belief, begin taking action, and then manifest that. And if that means that success for you is being a great mum, because that's what you want to do, if success is because you want to be a bus driver and you're a great bus driver, it's whatever it is for you. For me personally, my perception of success has changed dramatically from when I started this journey. When I started this journey, it was all about, I want to be rich so I can fund my movie career and I can wake up when I finish sleeping and I can do the things I want to do.
That was one of my very first goals.
It was very money driven, and money's just energy. Money's just a means of exchange, and money just amplifies who you are.
Yep.
So if you're a dickhead, you just become a bigger
bigger
dickhead. A lot of money, if you're nice, it can amplify. And so for me, the driver now around money is it can amplify my impact. And that's probably the biggest metric for me regarding money. But for me, success now is I've got 2 kids who love me and I love them and I get to spend a lot of time with them. I have a wife that loves me and I love her, and she's my biggest cheerleader. I have wonderful parents that are fully supportive. I have high quality friendships in different areas of my life. And as much as I work really hard, it's all my choice.
Yeah.
It's all on me. And so for me, success is having complete ownership of your life and being very clear on the vision that you have for your life and then taking the action steps to get it, whatever that is. So money is a lot more diluted in that message for me for success than it was because we are told how important money is. We are conditioned that, we swap time for money, and that for some people's pain around money and their beliefs around money is hard to get. It is difficult. It's hard to hold. And we often exchange money for what we believe is a perception of an optic of success, which is the new phone or the fanciest car and how other people see us. And when we can start to dial down the noise of the external voices and turn up the voice inside our head, that's freedom, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, look, I think, you hit it bang on. It's a commodity of exchange. For me personally, and this might be different for a lot of people, but it's being able to do what I want, when I want, with whoever I want. And that to me is the absolute epitome of freedom and what freedom means, because I don't know about you guys, but working for somebody who can dictate when I can go on a holiday, when I can go to the bathroom, when I can take my lunch break, I'm allergic to that. I can't stand it.
I think most of us are.
I'm like, and I know that works for a lot of people and that's okay. But my biggest goal when I started out on this journey, way even before I met Az, was just to be in a position that I could do what I want, when I wanted, with whoever I wanted. And that was literally it. I didn't care for all the things that, society tells us that money can buy and the commercial or the material things. All I wanted was to be able to do what I was passionate about all the time.
Yeah.
And be secure in knowing that the money was going to be there to be able to afford to live.
And this just comes back to that simple comment around time. Is what we're talking about here is I want to be in complete control of how I utilize, use, and give my time.
Yeah.
And have that freedom of choice.
And even just on that, I know there's some listeners that'll be listening to go, yeah, but you guys still have to work. You guys still are doing the podcast now. Like if you wanted all your time back, why would you do the podcast?
Because we want
You hit the nail on the head before. We choose to do this.
Yeah.
We choose to go out and do another property deal. We choose to run another event. That's because that's, like you said, Brent, earlier, that's what lights us up.
And I had the freedom to choose to come here.
Yes.
I didn't need to go and check in and can I take the time off? Or can I do this?
Yep.
It was like you messaged me, last week and said, do you want to come up and do a podcast? I'm like, yep, we're going to fly. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And it's simple as that.
Book the flight
Because
to here.
I had the freedom of choice.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think like you said before, Scotty, I'm very similar to you is real estate for me is my vehicle. Is it my dead set passion and like do I wake up and jump on realestate.com first thing in the morning?
Yeah, which is.
No.
Yeah, I don't need that.
I'm passionate about it. I'm more passionate about it now because of the vehicle that it has been for us and that I can see what sort of a vehicle it can be for other people as well. But was it my passion that I would do for if it didn't pay me money? Probably not.
Where I feel that a lot of people get caught in a trap, especially it happens, I don't know why, it happens everywhere, but I see it a lot more obviously here on the Gold Coast for some reason, is that people get so caught up in chasing an image rather than a life. And it's such a trap because 9 times out of 10, it doesn't actually fulfill you or give you the thing, whatever that thing is that you're chasing. I know that you both have a deep-seated passion for giving back in some way, shape or form to a younger generation. Scotty, particularly around financial education. And I know Brent with Empower you both really get out there and change the lives of younger people, which is so awesome. So are you guys able to speak into a little bit of what drives you to do that and the fulfillment that you get from doing that and the importance that you would see?
Yeah.
I can start on this. So for listeners who don't have context, I'll give you a 30-second elevator pitch. I run a program called Empower You. It's a 2-day personal development program for 13 to 21-year-olds, teaching life skills not focused on in schools, things like emotional intelligence, goal setting, money and finance, communication skills, gratitude, career guidance.
You've never said that before.
He did say it was his elevator pitch. Very well done.
And we do it in a very fun, interactive way. So edutainment, education, entertainment, if they're enjoying it, they love it. And I started this as a teenager myself. So I was in the demographic of age that I was delivering it to. So I was a peer, and now at 44 with 2 children, the age gap is great. But because I've been doing it every other week for 25 years, I have the pulse of young people. And to answer your question, what drives me to do it? It's changed over the years. Initially, it was an opportunity that I saw and a gap in the market. So I put on my entrepreneurial cap. I said, I'm going to do something about it. And then I fell in love with the work.
Yeah.
I fell in love with the impact it had, the shifts I was making, and how it made me feel about myself. Let's be very clear.
Yeah.
Like, as much as people say I'm doing it for others, we're doing it for others for how it makes us feel.
Yeah.
And that's not to be saying it's about my self-importance, but we all operate for what we get, right?
Yeah.
Our 6 human needs. How it's changed for me is that now as a father of 2 children and running adult events now, and like last week, I was in a room for 4 days with, 50, 40 to 80-year-olds and unpacking their lives and their insecurities and kind of opening some old wounds and realizing there's still a lot I charge for these people around this. Why I love working with young people and what keeps me juiced is the hope, the potential, the me remembering what it was like to be 16 and have it all ahead of me and have unlimited, abundant possibilities.
Yeah.
Versus when you're in your 40s and 50s going, has life crush those dreams? And I'm not talking about me personally, I'm talking in a general sense, is all these things I thought I could do, did I really do them? How do I feel? So to watch hope, abundance, and joy, and to open up, and when I say watch, to unlock it. When there's like insecurity, doubt, anxiety, lack of vision, and to give young people a pathway and a vision for their future beyond what they've ever felt before, there is not a higher high.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for younger people who are wanting to get ahead in life and create quote unquote success and financial freedom?
Real easy answer. Get so invested in the struggle. Understand that the struggle has a direct relationship to the prize. And the bigger the struggle, the bigger the prize. And don't think that instant gratification is the way to go. It's a long game. And recognize it's a journey, not a destination. And that you'll never hit that mark and go, now I've got it. It's the moment you take responsibility and start the journey that you're a success and you're free. And that it's going to be harder than you thought, but much more rewarding than you ever could have imagined.
1000%.
It's so profound about what you just said. It's not just for young people. It's for everyone.
I was going to say, what are we classing as young people these days? Because I imagined ourselves in our early 40s as still young.
Yeah.
Like if we had to start all over again, what would we do? I'd do the same, probably same sort of similar process, but just do it a hell of a lot faster.
Yeah.
And as I said, it's just a vehicle. So whether it's even real estate becomes a vehicle for you, whether it's shares, whether it's creating an online education business to help educate in whatever field you're passionate about, there's so many different vehicles out there that can help create you a different life, not necessarily a better life, because we might have a bunch of listeners out there that live an amazing life. They're not financially as successful as they'd like to be, but as we said, the level of success shouldn't really ever be tied to the financial.
No.
As soon as you tie your level of success to financial, you're fucked.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like the brutal truth is, and I say that with my hand on my heart because that was me. I was tying so much of our success to the money figure that was constantly moving and constantly changing. And it wasn't until a mentor sat me down one day and she was like, "What was your number?" And so I was sorry. She goes, "The first event you ever come to, we do a process. You got to write down a number that you think you'd need to be financially free, or you'd feel yourself financially successful." And for me, it was $2 million. $2 million back when I was earning probably $100 to $150,000 a year was quite a big number. And back then, $1 million was $1 million, not so much anymore.
Yeah.
And I sat there. She went through this process with me for about 3 minutes and realized that I'd hit that number about probably 18 months ago. And she goes, "What happened to the 2 million?" And I'm like, "Well, now it's 5. She goes, "Why?" And I was like, "Because I never thought it'd be possible to get to 2, but now I've got to 2. Why can't I get to 5? And she goes, "What do you think's going to happen when you get to 5? I said, "It's going to go to 10. I didn't even hesitate. I said, "It's going to go to 10. She goes, "So you're not going to ever feel successful?" I was like, "Yeah, no, when I get to 10. She goes, "But when you get to 10, I guarantee it's going to go to 15. So the bar keeps on moving. She goes, "So therefore your ideal of success is so unattainable because you're driving it and you've got this wedge between where you are and where your level of success is. So every step you take forward, that level of success is going to keep moving." And once she said it so simply, that made me feel like an absolute moron because I couldn't see it myself. And that's when my whole mindset around what success is and how to actually know that it's okay to feel successful as well. Because so many of us, unfortunately in Australia, we have this tall poppy thing where your friends and family will support you to be successful until you start showing signs of being successful.
Until you're successful.
And then they tend to kind of just want to take little nicks at you or tiny little pulls of like, "Oh, you got lucky on that one. Oh, you won't do that again. Oh, you're still going to do that. You think it's going to work still? You think you do it again?"
That you're still doing that thing again. I've heard that line many times over, and I now just laugh at that.
Yeah.
But it hurt at first.
Yeah.
But you get that, and it's just usually people projecting their own insecurities onto you. That's what that's about. That's their stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
Always.
Yeah, there's now in this day and age, there's more and more and more successful stories out there. There's more people reaching success or levels of success that we've never seen before, through many different means, whether that's crypto, whether that's online businesses or AI, et cetera, et cetera. But yet many people are feeling way more disconnected than ever before. And I guess, Scotty, what would be your piece of advice if you had to start over? What would be your biggest piece of advice to anyone who might be starting out on their journey or in the middle of their journey to give them that little bit of a boost if you were to start over again?
Well, don't use the measuring stick of finances as a success. That's the biggest problem. It's totally okay to not be an influencer and a free spirit running around all over the place. It's totally okay to work within defined boundaries of a job and discipline. Do you know what I
Absolutely.
mean? Because the people that gravitate towards that do that really well, and they don't do the free spirit thing very well. Do you know what I mean?
Perfectly.
And the reverse is true, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
And the problem is wrong again is that when someone uses someone else's version of success, like, oh, I just want to be like him, I just want to do this and that, when it's not for them,
Right?
right? Then it's not going to work for them.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean that what you teach doesn't work for them in terms of the practical stuff, but the measuring stick
Correct.
has to be personal,
Yes.
and the way that you run your life has to be personal.
Yep.
Otherwise, you're living someone else's life, therefore you're just living a lie.
Yeah.
Wow. That's huge.
That's so good.
Well, in wrapping up, I've got one more question for you both. And I would love to know, what is the one thing that cost you less than $100 but has had the greatest impact on your life up to date? And it can't be a book. Sorry, Brent.
Can it be a book? Because there's not a book you're going to expect.
Oh, well,
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
Well, you got to do two if you're going
yeah, I was going to say, like you have to, now that you said that, you have to have a book and you have to tell us what the book is.
Well, the book was an autobiography by Peter Jackson, who's the director of Lord of the Rings.
Mm.
And the reason why it's so significant, for those that don't know, I have aspirations of filmmaking and producing and directing, and I've done that. And I read this book in my 20s, and I had massive imposter syndrome, didn't think I could pursue this dream. And I read this book, and the book shared the story of his journey from being in New Zealand and making this movie called Bad Taste. It's this horror film he did over weekends over about 4 years with his disposable income. And the people that worked on this feature film then helped him with Lord of the Rings and King Kong and all won Oscars. I then went and watched Bad Taste, and it was awful. It was such a bad movie, and I could not be happier, because I thought, if that man and that team can make such a bad movie and go on and
Still
win
get that.
Oscars, I can do it too.
Yeah.
And so I guess that my lesson in all of that is that you can find examples, heroes, and inspiration for your own journey in life through so many stories, through so many people, through so many moments that you don't need to create, but you can model off and take those lessons and use them as references to fuel the action you need to take to be the best version of yourself.
So true. And the part of my brain when you were telling that story was so many people, it's sort of cliche in the sense of they put their first chapter against someone else's book. And we, like, again, whole pitching your level of success towards someone else's. You're sort of stripping yourself of any way of any life at all, because you need to go through the levels of success to create your final success. And we have this whole, not just even generational, I think we're all guilty of it, this whole instant gratification part that's become our norm, where we all expect to have the instant win, the instant $1 million in the bank, the instant perfect dream home before we've even, had a life. I think I joked with you the other day, Scotty, about, the 20-year-old life coach that's out there. And I'm like, it just, something about it that just grinds me. And I'm like, because I, at 42, nearly 43, still have so much more life to live. Yes, I, try and pass on education and educate people around, like, our journey, what we've been able to do and what we've been able to implement.
Not that they can't give you anything, by
No,
the way, but
But I'll still sit down and listen to a 20-year-old about what they've experienced in their life, because they're 20 years back. I didn't experience that part of life at that age. Just as importantly as I'll sit down and listen to someone who's in their 60s or 70s, because they've never had the opportunity that we have. And if they, like, say to them, like, what would you do differently? And they're like, oh my God, the amount of opportunity you guys have at your fingertips. Like, I'd be doing this, I'd be doing this, I'd be doing that. And it sort of just helps you reassess of, like, well, yeah, us, Em and I are achievers, we're go-getters, we do a lot, but there's a lot that we don't do, and it's by choice, because you can't do everything. So you've got to sort of find what your lane is and try and stick in that lane, especially if you want to try and see some level of success in that. I remember, again, Scotty talking to you the other day about the amount of people that bounce from one strategy to another, whether it's 12 months or 2 years, and then 5 years goes around, that whole circle of 5 years comes back around, and they haven't actually done anything or achieved anything, because they've gone from one strategy to another to another. And I love before how you mentioned about breaking down, okay, this is what you want. So do you want to be a landlord? No, couldn't even think of anything worse. So it's got nothing to do with being a property investor to be a landlord.
Yeah.
It's about what it actually means to have what that creates.
So, Scotty, one thing, under $100.
One thing.
Okay. Well, as clearly the oldest person in the room, I can remember when things
Not
cost
by much.
under $100. Um, I would say this is going to be pretty airy-fairy. It would be your integrity, and I'd like to sort of touch on something you just said there, as it was you're defined by just as much as what you do as what you don't do. And there's plenty of instances in my life where the definition came from what I didn't do. And that's only something that you can decide for yourself. And again, it coming back to not taking on someone else's, cookie cutter life or a pre-cut idea.
Yep.
It lines up with what you do and you stick to it. And if you do you, that's it.
To anybody wanting to start out on their wealth creation journey and creating success freedom, so a life of freedom, potentially through the property vehicle, what would be your first thoughts to give to that person around the advice in today's market?
Well, I think, and we're going to harp on it again, they need to write down what success is to them, put it in a picture form, and it's not allowed to be material things. Right? So they can draw a house, but then they've got to cross it out, and they're going to actually put next to it what that house means. That house might mean security, or it might mean whatever, right? And it might the holiday. There's a picture of a holiday. Well, hang on, you got to cross that out. What does that mean? That means actually time with loved ones. Right. And so then you get rid of the crossed out list, and you actually end up with a list that is definable no matter what price tag is on it. And that's what you need to chase.
That is so
Great
good.
answer.
Mike, drop a Scotty.
That is awesome. That is the authenticity of it all.
Yeah.
That
There's
is
so many people.
the heart, the passion of why we do this, why we all do what we do.
Yeah, because so many people delay their own success by, as you just said, then Scotty, put down the holiday. Okay, it's a holiday in the Bahamas with an overwater bungalow. Does that need to be the holiday? Or is that the holiday you got in your mind because you went to a seminar one day and you seen it up on the screen and went, oh, I'd love to go there with my whole family. That's a $30,000 holiday.
That's right.
Could you experience the same experience around a campfire in your backyard next weekend?
That's
for nothing.
right.
It's all about the feeling, not the thing.
That's
Exactly.
Boom.
And I think so many
a successful person immediately.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much to the both of you for your time and coming on the podcast. There's been so many nuggets, so many gems that I think, the listeners are going to get so much out of it. And I've gotten so much out of listening to both of you. So thank you very much.
And I absolutely love to have you guys back because there's so much more, so many questions I've got.
Tip of the iceberg.
So many more questions and so many more conversations I'd love to have with you guys because one, you're incredible at what you do, both in your personal lives and business. And I think that's the biggest correlation that Em and I are trying to get across is that to have success in either, I think, and to have success in both is two different things. So to have a successful business, sometimes, most of the time, your family life's struggling. To have a successful family life, your finances and stuff aren't so maybe going as great as they could be. But to be able to get people in like yourselves that have nailed, I believe, both parts of life, where you have an amazing family life, you've got incredible businesses that aren't just financially benefiting your own selves and your family, but also passing on to others as well is huge. And we can't thank you enough and appreciate you guys for coming in and actually just sharing your part of your journey to help our listeners understand that it's not that far away. Life doesn't have to be as hard as it is. You can simplify things. You can actually attain those goals and dreams and get that level of success that you actually want to attain, not what someone else wants you to attain. Thanks,
you.
guys.
That's all right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You've been listening to Freedom Renegades, for those who are built different.
Stay curious, stay intentional, and we'll see you next time.